Hi, I'm Wayne and this is Bassador Woodworking. And according to my wife, this is way too large of a guitar cabinet to be in a small living room. This is a Peavy 412 guitar cabinet from the 1970s that my father gave me. The 412 in this means that it's 4 12-inch speakers. And my wife is right, this is way too large for this small room. So today we're going to build something a little bit more space appropriate.
I began by ripping a little more than 12 inches off of a quarter sheet of 1/2 inch plywood. I then flipped the piece around and ripped the sheet down to its final width. This allowed me to get rid of the factory edge and have nice clean cut on each side.
This should be just about exactly 12. It's just over, which is perfect. So we're gonna go so from there it's 10 inches. That should be about where the top of the first speaker is. And then we will have a 4-inch gap, which we'll put a few holes in here so that the speakers can breathe. And then we go up another . So then from 10 inches back from there to here. And we went up 2 inches from the bottom. Rosewood will sit on top of that. So that's the end of the plywood. Which puts this entire cabinet piece, or the front grille is going to be a total of 27 inches tall. And then it's going to have a couple inches. So this entire cabinet thing should be about no more than 30 inches tall, which would be decent. Alright. Outside of the rubber bits.
I then routed the holes for the 10-inch speakers using a very simple compass jig made from some scrap wood. This was a really easy and, more importantly, consistent way to cut the holes for the speakers. You just have to be mindful of where your hands are at all times and where the cord is at all times. Take your time and back the bit off every so often to avoid overheating the bit. I then used a round over bit to knock down the edges of the holes. I followed the same process I did for the front when ripping down the sides. Cut close to my final width and then close in by trimming off the factory edge.
Set B is going to need a rabbet here, a dado here, rabbet here, dado here, and then it's also going to need a rabbet here, and then D is going to need
With the dado stack loaded in my table saw, I was able to quickly knock out the rabbets and dados needed to assemble the cabinet. I did decide to pivot on the design, and instead of cutting a rabbet in the bottom of the sides, I decided to cut it in the bottom piece itself. That would have then allowed the bottom of the cabinet to have a nice locking connection with the fronts and the side. It was then just a matter of making trips back and forth to the radial arm saw to dial in the fit of the bottom to the sides. I then sanded all of the pieces in preparation for staining. While the stained pieces dried, I started preparing the top. I decided to use this really nice piece of rosewood. I've had it in the shop for ages and I've been looking for the right project to come along for me to use it. I trimmed about a half a blade width off of each piece to give myself a nice clean glue surface. I decided to use a few dowels to help with alignment during the glue up. With the top glued and clamped together, I could begin assembly of the cabinet. Like most projects in my shop, this speaker cabinet will be held together with glue and pin nails. The tolerances on my dados are pretty tight, so I have no doubts that the glue alone will be sufficient to hold everything together. I decided to add some hardwood trim to the front of the cabinet. Originally I just planned to apply some edge banding and to call it a day, but I started to get nervous that I had not left myself a deep enough lip on the front of the speaker to seat the speaker grill flush. I also knew that the hardwood trim would look better in the long run, so I decided to take the extra time and drag out the miter saw and to do the trim properly. After attaching some rubber feet to the cabinet, I applied the same stain to the trim as the rest of the cabinet. I turned my attention back to the top and began sanding, first with 100 grit, then to 150. I then used a round over bit in the router table to knock down the edges before continuing to sand to 220 grit. I then applied a thick coat of spray lacquer to the bottom of the speaker's top. I will not have easy access to it once it's attached to the cabinet, so this should keep it happy. I applied a light base coat of spray lacquer to the cabinet. I then realized that this thing really needed a handle, so I added one to the back. This will also allow air to flow in and out of the cabinet. I attached the rosewood top using a few screws. I should probably spray lacquer before I put the speakers in the cabinet, huh?
What's that?
I should probably spray the lacquer before I put the speakers in the cabinet.
Yeah.
With the lacquer drying, I turned my attention to building the speaker's grille. I'm using a leftover piece of OSB for the frame. The grille for the speaker is really simple. I'm just using a basic frame and attaching the rails using 2x2 squares of OSB. These will provide more than enough strength to the grille's frame, and the OSB squares will act as a standoff against the front of the cabinet. The frame is assembled with glue and 7/16 by 3/4 inch staples. I added a center cross member to keep the frame from racking. I then covered the frame in some red speaker fabric I picked up on Amazon. An added benefit of the cross member is that it gave me the perfect place to mount the grill badge, which I created using a new tool in my shop, a laser engraver. There will be a full video detailing the laser engraver, so make sure you subscribe to not miss it. I added a couple of pieces of Velcro to the back of the grill. This will just add a little extra hold to the grill in the event that it fits a little loosely, which at this point I have not tested. With the main cabinet completed, I could now install the speakers. These are two 10-inch 8-ohm speakers I picked up for a good price on Amazon. I'm wiring the speakers in parallel, which just means that the positive terminals on each speaker are connected and the negative terminals on each speaker are connected. Positive and negative leads are then wired to the 1/4-inch mono jack on the back of the speaker. A standard 1/4-inch cable will connect the speaker to my amp. All that was left to do was to cut out the back, mount the mono jack into it, and attach it using some number 6 wood screws.
You don't like it? No. I'm really happy with the way that this thing turned out. It's better than I ever kind of imagined it would be. It's still way more capacity than I need for a room this size, but it looks smaller, and that's all that matters. It's still probably just as powerful as anything I would ever need in my life. It's just 2x10. The speakers I've been very impressed with so far, and I'm overall ecstatic with the way that this thing turned out. In the couple of shots that I did of the whole finished project, you'll probably notice the base. I still have that. I made a bunch of mistakes building that thing, and I've just been slowly chipping away and improving it, and now I have a very good, very playable base that I love. That thing is great. I also have, next to that is a Strat that I built. That thing I just finished a little over a week ago, and that thing is great. I have to work on the action a little bit, but that's just one of those things you just always are working on it. But overall, I'm incredibly happy. You're going to be seeing a lot more of this room in the near future. I have a few more projects all lined up having to do with making this space more conducive to getting stuff done. This is where I spend most of my time. My computer is right behind all of you right now. It's also where I built the desk that I documented in depth on this channel. That thing's still holding up great as well. But I want to make this whole place less cluttered and make it so that I can get more stuff done without feeling just kind of trapped by all my stuff. I have a bad habit of just straight up nesting, and I'll just pile the walls and everything really high with just any random little thing I find. And it's something I'm trying to like be more conscious of, and making sure that there's not as much clutter over here. But yeah. And thank you for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to keep up to date with new projects as they are released. Until next time, thank you.